Right, grade 12s, we are going to start with the solids question, and I'm going to go through page 64. That's the first page of these solids questions with you step by step. I may do this in by doing smaller videos so that I can upload the files more easily, because it tends to sometimes give issues if I try and do the entire thing in one go. Okay, so be aware of that. I may stop or pause the video and then start a new folder. Okay, so let's read this question. It says that the given is the front view and top view of a right regular hexagonal prism with a right regular hexagonal pyramidal hole, and there's a cutting plane AA. Okay, we'll see the question underneath here just now, the picture, but it says to draw it to a scale 1:1, that you must draw the given front view, a sectional top view, a sectional left view, the true shape of the cut surfaces. They say that planning is essential. You must show all necessary construction and all hidden detail. Okay, so I'm just going to show the question, and then also those who perhaps haven't got their book with them or something like that, then I'm not going to upload taking photos of all these different questions all the time. Here is the question for this page 64. There are the dimensions, and you can draw it up yourself like I have. I'm just going to be using blank A3 paper as well, not drawing on the actual question page. So you can see that it's a hexagonal prism. Remember, the solids questions are always in first angle orthographic projection. So in other words, it's top views at the bottom, front is over here above it. So it's a hexagonal prism, but then you can see there's some hidden detail in there, and there's some hidden detail in the top view, showing that almost to the same size of that hexagonal prism is a pyramid-shaped hole. And the only difference is that it's only 64 millimeters into this prism, which is 72 millimeters in length. So it doesn't go all the way like that. Okay, so there's the question. So let's get started with this. I've already set up the basics. Okay, now this should not be a problem in grade 12. I'm not teaching you how to draw hexagons and set up the questions. Okay, so you can lightly see the top view of a hexagon. The front view I can draw in dark, all right? But I wouldn't draw the top view in dark yet, because remember, it's been cut by the section line AA. So it means that it's going to change. So don't draw the top view dark, just draw it in construction, because it's going to change. Then remember that numbering and lettering is very important in these questions. It's going to make your life a lot easier and make you to be able to solve them more quickly and easily without making a whole lot of mistakes. My rules always first point to the right, say is number 1, and then go clockwise around. So I've got numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And because there's a pyramid, I just always say O for the apex of the pyramid or the point. Okay, remember the numbers, it's your own discretion, it's your own way of doing it, okay, but I really recommend just always getting to one kind of a style that you always use every single time. Then the next thing is that we have the section line AA, and remember, wherever that section line passes through one of your other lines that has a number on it, you need to put a letter. So I started on let's work from left to right, obviously. I start on the bottom left corner where it starts, it's A, it then travels, it gets to this line 3, 6, and I put a B. It then gets to a hidden detail line, which is still a line of the pyramid hole inside. So it's C, and then it exits on the top here. I've got D. So there's A, B, C, D on the A cutting line. Okay. So let's get started with this drawing. Remember to break things down into their parts as well. We're dealing with a hexagonal prism and a hexagonal pyramid shape. It's almost like these are not difficult questions. These are like grade 10 questions, start of grade 10, except it's 2 on 1 question. Okay, so there's a pyramid and a prism on 1 question. That's the only thing. Break it into those two parts. So let's look at how simple this actually is. Okay, once you've set up the front view and the top view lightly, it's simply a matter of going, okay, well, A has to drop down in this vertical line, and A is on the base, so on this very base edge over here, and it's on 4 and 5. Okay, so you literally would drop A down, but it's going to be on the corner of 4 and 5. So there's going to be an A here and an A here. Now, hopefully a lot of this stuff will come back to you, even though it's been a while since we did it in grade 10 and 11. But remember, even though it only has one A here, there can sometimes be 2 of those letters in the other view. Okay, so we've got 2 A's. Now, B is a point which would drop straight down. Now we can see that B is on this line 3 to 6. But you must also think of this. B is not only on 3 to 6 of the prism, it's also on the 3 to 6 of the pyramid, which is going like to a point, to the apex on the inside. So I could say that B, for the sake of the prism, is on 3 and 6 on the outside. But remember, there's also a B for the pyramid, which is slanting inwards like this. And hopefully this will come back to you very quickly. But remember that to find these types of letters or points that are exactly on a vertical center line, you either have to draw a side view, so take it to your side view, back to your 45 and back across, or what you'd have to do is, remember I explained this in grade 10, you pretend as though you are taking a horizontal cutting plane and cutting that whole pyramid exactly in half like that, exactly in half. And if you were to do that, because this is a hexagonal pyramid, remember if I cut a horizontal line across here, it would just be like a smaller hexagon over there, which means that if I cut that smaller hexagon at the top, all the points around it would be the same distance from the middle. So remember, what I could do in this case to find this point B is take it to the side, all right? It could be to the right or the left. I'm taking it to the right. And then you drop it downwards. Okay, so I take to the side, drop it downwards. When I take it to the side here, which lines is it on? It's actually on 1 and 2 that are heading towards the apex. Actually, rather, let me just put this 1 and 2 here so we know what I'm talking about. Okay, so you'll see there's 1 and 2. So 1 and 2 that was heading to the apex over there has now got a B on it, which would put me here and here. Okay, so there's 2 little circles I made. But then remember, I would almost need like a smaller hexagon, or in other words, just draw lines which are parallel to the bases. In this case, it's going to be your 30-degree set square. So see, I'll go backwards like that with my 30-degree set square in this case. And now this is where my 2 B's are going to be that are for the pyramid. Okay, so the B's that are on 3 and 6 are for the prism, and the B's over here are for the pyramid because they're slanting inwards like this, so they're closer to the middle. Okay, now let's get C. C will actually be very easy now. It was just B that was a bit more work. C just drops straight down. C is on your 1 and 2 of your pyramid. Okay, so here's your 1 and 2 of your pyramid. And we can just mark them off. So here's C, and there's the other C. Okay. Then we just are left with point D. So D can come straight down. But take note now, D has absolutely nothing to do with the pyramid. Okay, you can see the hidden detail pyramid is inside this part. D now has nothing to do with the pyramid. It only applies actually to the prism, and it is on the base, on the very top. So it's cutting through these surfaces where it's 1 to 6 and 2 to 3. So if I drop the line straight down, I would get a D over there, and another D over here. Right. So remember, all the points, I've always said this in the past, have to be accounted for. Have to have A, B, C's, and D's. All right, I can't suddenly make an E and I can't lose D's in the top few and they suddenly don't exist. But now I have got all my numbers, all my letters are accounted for. Something to remember as well from grade 10 is that if we started with these questions sectioning the solids, if this were a hexagonal prism, and remember I cut it straight across or diagonally like this, it would simply still be a hexagonal shape. Okay, and this little piece over here on the very right would just be solid because remember we didn't actually cut through it. So what I've also mentioned since grade 10 and 11 is that once you have all your letters, it's safe to join them up with a solid line, okay, and generally it's alphabetically, okay. So let me go around here. I'll actually try and draw this a little bit darker, use a black Cokie rather. Let me start with the pyramids points. So we've got ABC that applies to the pyramid. So I'm going to join A to B, B to C, C to C, and then back to A. Okay, so there's the actual sort of cut shape that you would have got out of the pyramid part. For the prism, like I mentioned just now, it's actually just the hexagonal shape that you're going to have here on the outside. Okay, so I'm going to join from A to B, and then I know it sounds weird because I'm going from B to D, but remember the C here only has to do with the pyramid. It has absolutely nothing to do with the prism. I'm going to join it all the way there, and you'll see just now why. Okay, so there it actually is. If I were to cut this hexagonal prism that has this hexagonal type pyramid hole in it, then I would end up with the hexagonal shape over here being cut. Okay, here's like a hollow area because remember it's a pyramid shaped hole, so there's nothing in that area. And then this little strip over here is that piece there between D and 1 and 2 where you never cut, but it still exists. Okay, it still exists, so that's why I have it in solid. Then for the sake of time, I'm just going to freehand the hatching in, but before I do that, let's first go and put the hidden detail in because it asked for hidden detail. Okay, so I had the hidden detail lines in here very lightly. Let's just put them in. So from C to 1, so C to 1 still exists, C to 2 still exists. And then if we look over here from B to 6 or B to 3, those lines still exist as well. So I'm going to put those hidden detail lines in. Okay, but notice that the hidden detail, the rest of the hidden detail over here, it's not going to be drawn in solid or drawn in invisible at all because it's gone. Okay, so that stuff's gone. And then I will just do this in freehand quickly for the sake of time, but put the hatching in wherever there are letters. Okay, so most of this will all be hatched except for that little strip over there that is between D and 1 and 2. Okay, so all hatched, little strip that's not because it was not cut. Okay, So that's the beginning of this drawing and the top view. I'm going to stop the video and then do another video for the side view and the true shape.